Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by silent co-host Ludwig von B. And today I want to talk a little bit about Dolly Parton. She's one of the many singers who has been in my musical consciousness for a while, but I didn't have a particularly detailed relationship to her repertoire. I couldn't find any one album in the Toronto Public Library system that stood out as sufficiently classic. So I'm like, you know what, you're at the beginning of your fandom. Why not start out with a greatest hits record? So I found this one, The Ultimate Dolly Parton. It seems to be a collection she endorses. She said, "I'm proud of this as anything in my whole career. In fact, it's like having my whole career summed up and wrapped in a neat little package. I hope you enjoy the joy and tears, the miles and trials that I've put into it. Thank you for a wonderful life." So it looks like as good a place to start with Dolly Parton as any. And why don't we react track by track? So the first track on this record is a song called Joshua, and luckily this is one I had not heard before. It has a kind of Johnny Cash feel to it, like a similar rhythm to One Piece at a Time. It's about visiting this mysterious man in a rundown abandoned shack and realizing he's not so scary after all, and in fact, falling in love with it. I think this is a good place to start for the album, because on the one hand, it sounds very much a part of the standard country scene, and Dolly Parton is a country music icon. At the same time, it's about falling for an outsider. And we live in a day and age where so many contemporary country musicians, and to a lesser extent, some of the older one, try to signal that they have these very red state identity politics. They don't identify with liberal American culture. And Dolly Parton is showing in this track how she can be very much country, but still very much an open-minded, progressive person. Tracks 2, 3, and 4 were the ones I always knew were the big ones. And track 2 is the one that I would call underrated. This is a song called A Coat of Many Colors. It is, of course, invoking the biblical story of Joseph, but it is about the fact that Dolly Parton's mother had to sew her clothes for her, and she'd be made fun of for wearing quote-unquote rags. And I really feel like this should be Dolly Parton's most famous song because it's just so heartfelt, it's memorable, the musical production on it is just perfect. That said, it feels like the song that today has become her signature tune is track number 3, Jolene. I've heard mixed things about this song. I don't know if it's about genuine marital insecurity, because I've also heard it's just about her like pretending to be jealous of like a pretty girl she saw in the audience at one of her concerts and being like, well, she might take my man one of these days. So I don't know if it's serious or not, but yeah, it's a catchy song about not wanting this beautiful woman named Jolene to steal her man. And there are lots of little subtle things that are good about it. Despite being a simple track, there are good little production choices it makes, including this haunting little string riff. So I can certainly see why Jolene has come to be the most popular song, but look, I'm a Neil Diamond fan, and I feel like Jolene is like her Sweet Caroline, whereas A Coat of Many Colors is I Am, I Said. I feel like if you really care about her as an artist, great as Jolene is, A Coat of Many Colors should be your favorite. Track number 4 is another stunner. This is the one you have to bring up and say, you know, this was originally a Dolly Parton song because it is I Will Always Love You. So it's, of course, associated with Whitney Houston, but it was originally written by Dolly Parton. And there's certainly something special about hearing a song recorded by its original songwriter, especially if that person is a great singer in their own right. And I feel like why this one is so affecting is because its meaning is so specific. It's not general platitudes, a singer thinking how one might feel at the end of a romantic breakup. No, she disguises it as a romantic breakup, but it's really about the fact that she's deciding to be a solo artist rather than primarily recording duets with the country singer Porter Wagner. And it's this genuinely loving song about her friendship with Porter Wagner, which in some ways is ending, but she obviously hopes to continue going forward. And then brilliantly placed on the record, they put a Dolly Parton Porter Wagner duet, albeit this one is recorded a year after I Will Always Love You. This one sounds more classically country than the previous couple tracks. And I feel like the pairing of it with I Will Always Love You makes it a better song because this one has a real thumping rhythm to it that makes the lyrics sound kind of corny, no matter how good and sincere Porter Wagner's singing is. But hearing it contextualized to this truly affecting song about Dolly Parton and Porter Wagner's relationship makes it great. Track 6 is a little hidden gem I hadn't heard of before. It's called Love is Like a Butterfly. It kind of sounds more like what I'd call a folk song than a country song, though of course those terms are messy. I don't know if you know the children's singer Tom Chapin, but he sang all these beautiful rounds and duets with artists like Judy Collins on some of his children's records. This Butterfly song sounds kind of like something he would record. And in addition to having a folky feel, it has a kind of psychedelic feel to it. I feel like this really shows Dolly Parton's range as a songwriter. Track 7, Bargain Store, another iconic piece of composition because this is Dolly Parton showing, yes, I'm a country singer, and insofar as I have politics, they lean left. It's about the expectation that women be virgins, and she's like, yeah, I can be used and I can still be valuable. What's kind of weird about it is it's neither delivered with vulnerability or with the anger of a protest song. It has this sort of weird in between, sounds kind of haunting, like these women who have had sex are almost like ghosts or witches or something. It was like, come to the bargain store. And this one was apparently controversial. This one got Dolly Parton thrown off of country radio, though I believe it's not just because it was tackling male expectations about women before marriage, but because her lyrics were confused to be about sex work. Track number 8 is called Here You Come Again. This was the final great surprise on the record for me. So this is the first one of a number of songs on this record that Dolly Parton didn't write. I was actually surprised how many songs she didn't write on this collection, because before she was a successful solo artist, Dolly Parton was just a prolific writer of songs for other people. But I guess like others who started their career that way, like Neil Diamond or Willie Nelson, you only have so many ideas in you. And eventually when you've been going along enough, you might think you get more kick out of playing someone else's song. And this is a great choice because it's by the iconic Brill-building songwriting duo of Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil. And the sound you get out of it sounds like it's one of the more joyful, not Barry Mann, but Barry Manilow songs. So it has a different feel to everything else on the record. It doesn't sound country because it is a song from New York City, but Dolly Parton does a wonderful job. Track number 9 is called It's All Wrong, But It's All Right. This one has similarly poppy production, nothing that screams country at me, but this time it's Dolly's own composition. And it's another song that sort of deals, I guess, with sexuality, feminism. It's about throwing away the guilt over having a one-night stand. Track number 10 is called Heartbreaker. Again, that adult contemporary, highly produced feel, and again, a big name songwriter behind it. I don't know one of the songwriters, Dennis Wolfert, but the other one, Carol Bayer Sager, huge name. This one, it's starting to feel a bit too kitschy with that adult contemporary production, but at very least, Dolly's voice is so wonderful that it really resonates when she sings that title word, Heartbreaker. Track number 11 is called I Really Got That Feeling. It's another one that's maybe a bit overproduced, but has some good lines in there at least. I really got that feeling I'll love you for a long time. It felt it from the moment you met. You didn't ask me my sign. So I wonder if this is something of the moment, like astrology was very big, so she can tell a guy is interesting because he's not into astrology. Track number 12, another one co-written by Carol Bayer Sager along with Bruce Roberts. This is called You're the Only One. And it also has this really George Harrison-like guitar part. I was trying to figure out if he was involved, but as far as I can tell, he was not. And this one is a wonderfully heartfelt vocal. You really buy that this person is the only one, but unfortunately, because it's part of this run of sentimental adult contemporary songs, it's a bit harder to enjoy. It feels like we've had a bit too much sappiness, even though this is a great use of sappiness. Track number 13 is called Starting Over Again. It's by Bruce Adano and Donna Summer. Donna Summer is also someone I don't know nearly as well as I should, but from the little bits of her I've heard, this certainly sounds like her. It's about two people getting divorced after a long marriage and feeling insecure about it. And there's also something about the way the bridge is produced where it becomes more rhythmic than the rest of the song, that it feels more like a Broadway tune than a pop song. The song is not just trying to sound beautiful, it's trying to embody the meaning, so it could potentially be choreographed. Track number 14 is called Old Flames Can't Hold a Candle to You. Not much to say about this one. It's more of a return to more of a classic country sound. Track number 15, we get another explosion. I forgot Dolly Parton certainly has one more extremely famous song. It's 9 to 5. It has more of a sort of pop orchestral feel. Something, if it wasn't so associated with Dolly Parton's voice, you could hear Huey Lewis singing, that rhythm of New York City kind of song. And I was reading a bit about it in the notes here. And while she wrote it for a movie, which sadly I've not seen yet, she tried to contextualize the album as being other work and protest related songs. She sang Woody Guthrie's song about deportees, for instance. Track number 16, another one from that 9 to 5 album, but unfortunately not a political one. It's a song by a guy called Mike Settle, and it's a return, for better or for worse, to that adult contemporary, more sentimental sound. I feel like this one could have been a lot more interesting of a song if it hadn't had that over-the-top adult contemporary production. You know, the substance of the lyrics reminded me a bit of songs like Country Road by James Taylor or Leaving on a Jet Plane by John Denver. I feel like had there been more emphasis on just guitar picking, that compelling idea of, yes, my mind is wandering, I'm feeling a bit lost, but don't take it personally, I still love you. That interesting, very real message could have resonated more. Track number 17 shakes up the sound a bit, begins with a sort of quasi-yodeling bit. It's called Tennessee Homesick Blues. This is Dolly Parton, Missing the Country Life. You know, it's not a song for me. You know, it names drops things that are not exactly part of my life, like fishing and hunting and going to church, but whatever. Dolly Parton can have one song where she's not like me. I resonate with so many of the others, and I can just skip this one. Track number 18 is called Islands in the Stream. This is her iconic duet with Kenny Rogers, and the main piece of trivia to know about this one is it was written by the Bee Gees. This is a sort of mystical example about how you just put parts together in the right way and it somehow builds the right song. You know, most of the lyrics are slightly awkward and stilted, yet they build up to this mysterious, relaxing, tropical vacation of a chorus. There are synths on here and they give it that sort of watery tropical feel, but they don't overpower into sappiness. There's a little bit of strings, and overall you just have that classic country folk instrumentation on top of it. Track number 19 is called To Know Him Is to Love Him. This one written apparently by Phil Spector and recorded with Dolly Parton's supergroup Trio, so Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt. I wouldn't say there's anything too special about the song per se, you know, other than to hear these three great voices. And finally, the record ends with another one I had heard before, and I was kind of surprised this was the closer because it's a fun song, certainly a catchy song, but also a bit of a lighthearted one called Why'd You Come In Here Looking Like That, just over Dolly Parton thirsting over a hot cowboy. And there's a great little music video associated with it where there are these men auditioning to be in a Dolly Parton music video, and she's trying to humor them and find something beautiful in all of them, even though they're kind of awkward. But it's a great sort of kitschy, catchy country way to end the collection. So overall, there were certainly some things I discovered from listening to Dolly Parton's greatest hits that I hadn't just picked up through the cultural grapevine, where people disproportionately emphasize Jolene. That's certainly one of the strongest tracks on here. But again, I stand Coat of Many Colors as her true best, and then Love Is Like a Butterfly, very cool. The Bargain Store, haunting, and Here You Come Again, you know, not her original song, but just a wonderful performance and a great song. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig von B. See you next time.